Hey folks, Chef Cutting here. Want to first of all let you know that the new recipe that we're going to be doing today is called the Wasabi Rub New York Strip. And I'm going to be serving this with a wasabi cream sauce. Now why all the wasabi and what's up with wasabi? Well, the reason I mention this is because, as I had mentioned before in several other of my videos, I get my peppers, my wasabi, and all my other condiments that are really spicy hot from Peppers in Oregon. And the reason I do that is because they give me the best products. So I mention this in the beginning of this video so that you know that when we go into the recipe stages and I get all of this wonderful, beautiful spice and all this wonderful, beautiful pepper and heat to my flavor of my dishes, you know where to get them. Now, let's talk about the recipe for a second. First, we can talk about wasabi. I have a sample of wasabi right here. Now, this is typically what you would see in the store. And what wasabi is it's a root. It belongs to the horseradish, cabbage, and mustard family. But it's closer to mustard than it is to actually the heat of, say, I don't know, capsaicin, which you would find in peppers. The heat of horseradish and the heat of a wasabi root is very, very similar to a very hot mustard. So when you look at all these different roots and you look at all these flavors, understand that the reason why I use the wasabi is because it really adds that real high heat that you would taste in, say, a wasabi paste with sushi. But you can mellow it out by creaming it and or using it as a rub so that there is coverage but not necessarily overbearing in flavor. And you'll see what I mean when we start the recipe, so I just wanted to give you a heads up so you understood exactly how we were going to attack this one. And we're going to go into my test kitchen and we're going to make the Wasabi Rub New York Strip.
So we're going to start with the rub here for the steak, and then I'll show you how to treat the steak. So what we have here is a bowl and a tablespoon of brown sugar, a teaspoon of pepper, a tablespoon of kosher salt, a teaspoon of blackened seasoning, and a teaspoon, 3 teaspoons, so a tablespoon of the wasabi. Okay? So it's very simple. Just add everything into the bowl. Okay? And then you're going to take a whisk, and we're going to whisk that up. So basically what you want to do is you want to see it in this kind of consistency. Now, very important to remember, when you add the brown sugar, please make sure that the brown sugar has dried. Brown sugar tends to be moist, so if you put moist brown sugar into this rub, it won't work well. So make sure it's dry. Okay, now we're going to move on to the steak. Okay, we have a wonderfully trimmed New York strip steak here. And what we're going to do here is we're going to go ahead and we're going to put some of the rub on like this. Now, the reason we call it a rub, and you'll see why in just a second, is because we are going to rub this into the meat. So we're going to do it like this, see? We're going to just rub that into the meat so that it's firmly emplaced in the meat. We want the rub to become a part of the steak. And so in the cooking process, when the meat renders the fat that's in it, then we are going to find ourselves looking at a very, very tasty piece of meat. We're going to do this to this side and the other side, and then we're going to be done. Okay, and so here it is. Both sides. Just have a good look at what that looks like. That's how the coverage on the rub should look. Now we're going to mark it. Okay, I'm getting ready to place that steak right onto the grill. And here we go. Put that awesome steak on the grill here with that awesome rub. I'm just going to grill it and mark it And then I'm going to bring it right back. I'm going to bring it right back to the oven. Okay, for the sauce, we're going to go ahead and we're going to put the ingredients together now. The first thing is we have a teaspoon of sesame seed oil, 2 tablespoons of naturally brewed soy sauce, a teaspoon of wasabi powder. Again, I get that from my peppers in Oregon. Yeah, baby. And my brown sugar and my balsamic vinegar and a half cup of water. I want a whisk and a bowl again. And what I'm going to do first is I'm going to take the wasabi powder, and I'm going to put that in there, and then I'm going to take the water and I'm going to mix that into the wasabi and make kind of like a wasabi water. And so that's going to be the first step of my sauce. Then after that, what I'm going to do is I'm going to start pouring all my ingredients into a heated pan. Now I've got my pan on medium heat right now, so I'm just going to go ahead and do that now. I'm going to pour my oil in there, then my soy sauce. Oh yeah, you gotta like that. My sugar into the mixture, so now I have my sugar in there as well. And then I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to pour my wasabi water in there. Oh, look at that. Isn't that awesome? So go ahead and stir that up a little. Get that nice and emulsified. We want to reduce this by 1/3. Hence the reason I'm using this large Teflon pan. I want to kind of boil this down a little. Okay, we're getting to a point now where I really feel comfortable putting my balsamic in, so I'm going to do that now. And now I've really got a very nice, awesome gravy, wasabi gravy, that's going to go with my steak. Now, I said it was a cream sauce. Well, it is. We're going to add that at the very end. And what we're going to do is we're going to cream in some butter, and we're going to cream in some thick Greek yogurt, and that is really going to make this sauce come together wisely. Okay, so I have my wasabi sauce ready to have the butter creamed in. Okay, I'm going to cream that butter right in right now. I'm going to add some fat to that now. It's going to start to solidify with that butter in there. Oh yeah. Okay, I'm going to take a tablespoon of yogurt, but I'm going to add some water to this. And then I'm going to blend the water so I can make a nice thin liquid, otherwise this will clump up in the sauce. So I added about a 1/4 cup of water to this, and now it's a very nice milky, creamy solution. I don't like using heavy whipping cream. This solution with yogurt is so much more healthier, and it really does blend better with the flavor. So I'm going to add that in there right now. Mix that up. Look at that, folks. Look at that. Now that, my friends, is a sauce. Okay, we're gonna reduce this just a little. We don't want to sit it on the grill on the stove too long, so we'll pull it off and get it ready for service. So as you can see, that sauce has really come together now. It's really very solid and a very flavorful aroma in the kitchen. This wasabi cream sauce is ready for service. I'm going to put it in a small bowl and get ready to pull that steak. As you can see, that steak has come out perfectly, so we're going to take this over to the oven now. And we're going to preheat the oven to 400 degrees. We're going to leave it in there for 3 to 5 minutes. Here we go, right into the oven. Right now I'm just sauteing up some button mushrooms, some kale, and some tomato just to put a nice little vegetable complement to the steak. And I'm about to pull the steak out and let it rest for about 2 to 3 minutes. So here we go. Okay, I've got the steak out, and I'm just waiting for that to rest now. I'm going to give it a few minutes, sauteing up this beautiful kale and portobello baby mushroom. And then the final step is going to be that I'm going to go ahead and add some tomato to it. Okay, tomatoes in. I'm going to add some salt and pepper to taste. And this shouldn't take more than about another 1 or 2 minutes before service. Now for garnish, I've made a little bit of wasabi paste, and there's a real trick to this. Basically what you want to do is put just a few drops of water in a ramekin, start with maybe a teaspoon of wasabi powder, and keep rubbing it around the ramekin until it gets pasty to the point where it's almost like a little softer than putty. Then you know you've done it right. This is very intense, okay, and it's very hot. It's like eating hot mustard, so be careful on how much you use on the garnish. I also have a teaspoon of yogurt, which I'll show you what I'm going to do with that. And I am about ready to plate up. Our steak is now rested perfectly. As you can see, the blood is all on the top. We have juices starting to come out the side here. And it's looking really good. You see that what that wasabi did to the color of the steak. It looks very, very smooth and very, very red. It's very colorful when you use wasabi in a recipe like this. So we're going to plate it up right now. Okay, I've decided to put the kale mixture on the left side of the plate like that. And we're going to go ahead and put the steak onto the plate. Okay, so I decided to change it a little and put it this way instead of lengthwise. I think I'm going to get a better presentation with that. And I'm going to go ahead and take this juice that's left over and put it in the gravy. Okay, I've added the juice into the gravy. I'm just going to stir that up and put all that goodness in there as well. And we are about ready to plate up this puppy. Okay, so what I did was I took a nice thin piece of butter. As you can see, it's starting to melt right now. And I placed the wasabi putty in my hand and pressed down firmly and made a nice little shape there, a natural shape. I placed it on top of the butter. When the butter melts, that is going to look amazing. I took the yogurt and I split it in two off the spoon, one on this side, one on this side. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to add this wonderful gravy. I'm going to do it like this. Oh, God, that looks good. God, folks, I wish you could be here to eat this. Okay? Oops. I'm allowed to do that. Okay, and then what I'm going to do now is I'm going to take a fork and I'm going to do a nice little decoration with it. So watch. I'm going to take the fork and I'm just going to go straight through like this. Same thing here. Straight through like that. And so after moving the fork around a few times, you can see it makes a nice little natural design in the gravy. Ladies and gentlemen, I give you the New York strip wasabi rub with wasabi cream sauce.